What's up, everyone? Welcome to my vlog. I suppose the first thing that I want to talk about is this torpedo bat stuff. I wonder how many people, when they first heard of this torpedo bat and saw exactly what it is, said to themselves, why didn't I think of that? It just is a brilliant idea. I mean, it really is. The only thing I wish that they would have done is make it available to a particular team. You know, that's what my goal would have been had I been the inventor of the torpedo bat. There's no use in something if everyone has access to it, then you don't get any competitive advantage ever. And it's looking like this is just not owned by a particular team at all, and it's just going to basically spread throughout the entire league and give a benefit to everybody equally at the same time. You know, the Oakland A's had this advantage over everybody else for at least a couple years, maybe even just a year, but at least they had that advantage. And that put them on the map as the first to have it. It doesn't look like that's what's happening with this bat, but after learning about it and understanding exactly what it is, I don't know if they have the design down perfectly. I've seen a few models and it doesn't look quite right to me. But it is better. I mean, it's almost like it just rings true. And that's what, you know, to me, more true things, they just almost immediately hit you as being, yes, of course, that's a better idea. And it just rings true to you. The biggest reason, I think, is because, first of all, you're taking the mass and moving it away from the end of the bat. So you're going to be able to swing it faster. Yes, you're moving it from one side out a little bit too, but I think that moving it from the end of the bat in is going to make the bat lighter than the little bit of mass that's being moved closer in towards the fulcrum point of the bat, or the end of the knob of the bat. So you'll be able to swing it faster with the same amount of mass. So equal mass for an old style or regular style bat with a torpedo bat, I think you're going to be able to swing it faster because it's going to feel less heavy to you. But also, I think the biggest thing is that, of course, the sweet spot's bigger. And look, that's where we're trying to hit the ball. You know, and I know a lot of people would say, well, if you don't hit the sweet spot, but your goal is to hit the sweet spot. So that probably is where we're going to hit most of the balls, presumably, hopefully. But the biggest factor why I think it's a better design is simply because it puts more of the weight directly behind the hit. It's really that simple. That's, to me, why it is, without a doubt, a better design and going to lead to more exit velocity. So this will be interesting how this pans out. Again, like I said, it's unfortunate that this guy who invented it just put it out there instead of, like, I don't know, taking bids from teams or something. Because I don't know, to me, like, I want to see a small group of people experience a big competitive advantage for a while. Those are the things that otherwise I just don't see the point. Everyone's on equal footing. No one had any sort of advantage for any length of time. That's what this is looking like it's going to be. But really interesting, and just shows you that this idea of revolutions in baseball, we never know where it's going to come from. And it will come from things that you think are completely tapped out of opportunity. And I always talk about like the scouting departments in the early 90s. They had no idea that they were going to be completely restructured within 10 years. You know? And they never could have, like, if you would have sat them down and said, it's going to be restructured in the next 10 years, everything's going to change, there's going to be a revolution in your particular department, how do you think that's going to happen? They would never guess, because they wouldn't be thinking outside the box in ways that matter. It always comes from somewhere completely out of the blue, seemingly. But now looking back, we can see that, wow, Bill James writing these abstracts back in the late 70s, these were the beginnings of the Moneyball revolution. It was the small sparks that would eventually become, you know, a huge forest fire of a revolution. But we never know where it's coming from. I mean, this has me shaking my head like, my goodness, why didn't I think of that? Why didn't anyone think to put more of the weight? It's just such an elegant, simple solution. I don't know who the inventor is, but I immediately like him. I immediately give him kudos. Like, for sure, he came up with a better design to a bat. And it brings up the idea of revolutions. Now, I don't think this is going to cause a revolution in baseball, but this is going to change the way bats are designed. I think we're going to probably end up looking at bats that, you know, are conventionally structured in a few years and start to see them as looking like silly, looking like old school bats. But I don't think that this is going to lead to any huge revolution necessarily. It could have balls jumping out of the fields a little at a little bit higher of a rate, but I don't think it's going to be like the Moneyball revolution, right? But I do think that this is just, I think that these opportunities are everywhere in baseball. I think that we're going to continue to see these little hits of revolutions. You know, some big, some small. But I think that there is one coming with regards to the swing. I think that there's also probably another one coming with regards to pitch recognition skills. So we have one for swing mechanics, which you guys know where I stand on that. I think the understanding of utilizing more lead side in the swing will lead to a revolution of sorts. It'll lead to a change in how we approach instructing hitters on major league teams. And again, hopefully it'll be just a few teams in the beginning or one team in the beginning so that we can see a team with an advantage and then everyone else will jump on board. Pitch recognition is a huge opportunity. I don't know when or how we're going to tap into that opportunity, but that will be coming as well. But these are just the ones that are on my personal radar. There are probably thousands of these things just latent out there waiting to be discovered. And to me, that's what this torpedo bat kind of represents to me, is that, man, you don't know where these things are coming from. But I think that it's almost like that's where the shift of excitement has gone to. You know? Maybe that will be kind of how baseball evolves in the future, where these guys who are like a Bill James or like this guy who developed the torpedo bat, maybe these guys are really the stars of the show, you know, along with the players. And so that's kind of the evolution of baseball. Like these revolution starters are front and center. And it kind of goes along with what I said in my first book, Positional Hitting, when I said, I think that someday the swing coaches will be as popular or more popular than many of the students they work with. And I think we're starting to see the beginnings of that. And I think that'll only continue. And I think that, you know, the more lead side understanding is really, I think, going to change the instructional game. But these things kind of, they do kind of tap out where the opportunity is. I mean, like, I don't think that after the torpedo bat, there's much opportunity left in the designing of a bat. Could you mess with the material? Probably not. We've probably tried all different kinds of wood. And if it has to be a wooden bat of some sort, then we've probably tapped out that opportunity. Can you mess with the shape any more than just the torpedo design? I don't think so. I mean, what else are you going to do? That seems like the ultimate design. So I think that these revolutions kind of tap it out, like the Moneyball revolution, I think tapped out how we use equations basically to scout players. Could there be little advances in that realm still? Sure. But it really made a huge advancement and kind of tapped out that opportunity in the early 2000s. So, but it's just interesting to just look at baseball from this perspective, in that, you know, this is going to be, I think, where a lot of the excitement resides, you know, in this innovation that's kind of outside of the game, but these people kind of looking at baseball and thinking, how can it be better? How can we change this thing or that thing? And like I said, I think the opportunities are possibly, I don't know. I don't know about infinite. I think there probably is some limit out there, but I think we are just getting started. You know, I think Moneyball was one. That was like no other revolution to my mind that has ever occurred in baseball. I mean, you could say maybe Babe Ruth caused a similar revolution, just basically showing people that there's a completely new way to approach hitting. You know, no one even hit, I don't even know what the number was. Was it 11 home runs? I think was the post 1900 record for home runs, and then he hit 29 and broke that. And then he hit the next year 54 to break that. And that was a revolution. That was showing people a brand new way to be way more productive at the plate. Just like Bill James showed people a brand new way to be way more productive in the front offices. And, you know, these opportunities are are many, and should be exciting going forward. But that's the first thing I thought of when I saw this Torpedo bat is, yeah, this is one of those things that I've been talking about. Like I said, I don't think it'll lead to a revolution necessarily, but it's kind of like a mini innovation. Let's take a look at, this is a swing that was sent to me. Oftentimes, people don't really think of Trout as being lead arm dominant for whatever reason. I think what shows me that Trout and Betts are lead arm dominant is how connected that they get at contact. They are very connected at the point of contact. And that tells me that there's a lot of lead side pull. They also don't flip through contact. And here you can see Trout getting very long in the lead arm. This isn't how he looks on every swing. This is how he can look, though. He's capable of doing this. And that's really, to me, what matters. Is he going to look like this on every swing? No, because he's going to adjust. But is he capable of this kind of action? Yes. Therefore, he's probably feeling more lead side pull than most hitters. And look at this position. This is beautiful. Beautiful looking shot here of what a lead side dominant action looks like in positions. And look how he turns into it. He doesn't extend the arms into it, as is taught and as most hitters will do. He turns into it and is able to remain very connected at contact. This is just beautiful positioning. Why is this good? Because basically you have way more mass behind the hit, number one. By not pushing out with the back arm, he has much less flip of the bat. In other words, movement of the bat. The more that you push out with the back arm, the more you're going to have to flip with your hands. By having a contact position that's way more body controlled like this, what ends up happening is the barrel actually moves through the zone very consistently, very flat. And it's easier over time to know where that barrel is in space and be able to make contact much more consistently. And I mean, don't underestimate that right there. That is huge. To not have the barrel jumping through the zone is really, I compare it to like if you were, someone who's a marksman and you're trying to line up the scope, but the scope is always it's loose and it's always kind of wiggling or something like that, like a bobblehead on your dash. Well, how accurate are you going to be? Well, the same thing with hitting. Like if your barrel is typically jumping through the zone, as so many hitters do, then it's going to be hard to consistently make contact. So, overexerting with the back arm isn't just a power thing. A lot of times people try to peg me as someone who's just interested in hitting home runs and power. No, I like the swing that leads to more power and consistency, that optimizes both simultaneously. And making a contact position happen that looks like this, like Trout is in, is just better for contact. So you're getting the best of contact and power here. This is just a beautiful position there at contact. I've said this before, for a lot of you guys, I could just say, try to achieve a position like this at contact, well connected, well turned, and try to hit the ball really hard. Off a tee, if I say those two things, Some guys will just develop a great swing just from there. You know? So that's another way to get to a great swing. There you can see no flip, right? The back arm and bat are in alignment. He has a very distinct look about him as he finishes the swing. And as I've said before too, I think that this whole cutting off the finish came from Trout's success in around the 2010s or so, early 2010s. You started to see a lot more people cutting off their finish. And this is the way swing instruction works. Typically, we've picked just the hitter of the day and said it must be done like that. And we just copy these extraneous movements that he does that maybe aren't related exactly to his hitting prowess. And that's a mistake of swing instruction that has been going on for many decades now, of just picking whatever great hitter happens to be hot at the time and copying various movements and positions that he gets into. That's going to lead us on a wild goose chase. That's not the best way to approach swing instruction. That's why I developed the pound for pound equation. And the purpose is, let's get a list of the guys who most likely had the best swings. That's the pound for pound equation. Now let's see, what are the guys at the top? What are they, most of them, doing? What are some traits that tend to pop up mostly in these guys as you move up the list? And from there, we don't copy these traits. What we do is we say, well, what are these traits most likely communicating in terms of feel? Now we are getting to the heart of the matter. What the only thing we really need, which is the quintessential feel of a great swing. We don't need to be running around trying to copy this guy. Oh no, let's copy this guy now. Oh, let's copy his finish, his, this and that. That's just, again, going to lead us on a wild goose chase. The purpose of teaching the swing and the purpose of finding the hitters with the best swings is to arrive at a certain feel that they felt, that they don't even know they felt. That's why the great hitters haven't been able to communicate the key feel of a great swing. But that should be the ultimate goal of people teaching the swing, is to understand what is the single feel of a great swing. We know it's not, oh, you have to feel this position and this movement and that, and duct taping all these different positions onto a swing. That's the way we've been operating for decades, and that doesn't work either. We know it's not that because the greatest hitters tend to be so fluid in their action. They can't be holding their swing together with duct tape thinking about 10 different swing thoughts. That's the wrong approach. That's going to lead you down the wrong path. All right, so let's get to the 14th best pound for pound hitter of all time. And that is it is, let's get to it, Larry Walker, kids. Larry Walker, one of the most underrated hitters. Like, do we ever think about Larry Walker when we're thinking about the best hitters of all time? It's weird how some guys just kind of got lost. There's so many guys who just we just have forgotten about, right? But Larry Walker, since he is number 14 on the pound for pound list, here's a swing that we really need to look closely at. I mean, when you're that high on the list, we gotta take you pretty seriously in terms of swing mechanics. And here you can see, to me, what is a key move. To me, the swing is really made or broken at this starting point of the forward swing. I want to see that the torso rotation, for the most part, is leading the way. And a large part of how I see that is Is the barrel dropping on a flat plane? Are the hands trailing the torso rotation? Or is the hitter starting to bring his hands already out in front of him? Larry Walker is, just like the guy before this, Oscar Gamble, was dominant in his lead arm. So he did throw with his right arm. And here you can see, I mean, beautiful lead side dominant action. No flip in that swing. Look at the back arm and bat in alignment for long into the finish of the swing. There you go again, nice positioning there. Kind of Matt Olson-like, right? Beautiful position right there. Very lead side dominant type of position. Look at the thrusting action that you tend to see in lead side dominant hitters. They thrust with the hips at a time where their back arm is still pretty well bent. Whereas people who are very back arm dominant will kind of thrust and very soon after be almost straight with that back arm. It's like they're thrusting and extending right after each other. Whereas if the back arm remains chill and you're using more lead side pull, then you tend to kind of thrust with the hips, and the hips are kind of done producing the force in a way, and that force is moving up your body, but it's not moving through your back arms so fast. So they thrust and finish with the hips at a time where the back arm is still well bent, and then he only straightens it about here. And again, look at how there's no flip. I mean, look at the back arm and bat, just completely straight. And there's no break in the wrist until he gets right there. The difference between very back arm dominant hitters is the wrist break that you see Larry Walker in right here happens like here. Like right here. Again, that's the key action right there. And look, he didn't have a whole lot of movement, right? You don't need a whole lot of movement going into redirection. You just don't. Do we see a lot of the great pound for pound hitters have a lot of redirection? Yeah, of course. We see Mel Ott, had a lot. It does seem like if you're going to get every ounce of your body weight into the hit, and every ounce of power that you possibly can muster, probably doing a bit of a backswing is not a bad idea. But it's really not necessary. There you can see that very straight lead arm. Barrel has dropped on a very flat plane. Just a beautiful looking swing. A little bit more of a bent lead arm on this swing because the ball is high and tight. Normal adjustment, perfectly okay. And there you can see, beautiful lead side dominant positioning there at contact. And again, no flip through the zone. So there you have it, Larry Walker, number 14 on the pound for pound list. Thank you guys for watching. Check out my site, theswingmechanic.com, for more products, more info on what I teach. You can also join this channel and see my baseball swing course, as well as exclusive members only videos. So thank you guys, and I'll see you next time.
Gotta have it. I ain't even playing, got a really bad habit. If it moves, gotta grab it. Fuse like a magnet. Lose, won't have it till I'm doomed in a casket. I ain't playing, got a weird mind. If you work 8 hours, I'ma work 9. If the shit